Tuesday Drive with Stephen.
But he comes home each evening and he's ready with...
Do you know what? That's one of the theme songs that's always stuck in my head. I don't know why. Perhaps it was because when I was a kid, I remember as a family sitting in the lounge room watching it on the ABC. I think our TV, well, it was a big TV back then. It was a wooden TV around 20 inches, which in those days was quite big. And it was solid wood, very, very heavy as well. And I've got to say, how times have changed. And how old does that make me sound watching a TV? But it was colour. It was colour, so I'm not that old, thanks very much. But I am very thrilled because that TV show from my youth is being brought to life on stage. And I had 3 cast members from Nowra Player's production of Dad's Army here in the studio this afternoon. Welcome platoon members from Walmington-on-Sea and a U-boat captain. Or I'm wondering, should I be a bit worried having a U-boat captain in the studio?
Not at all, Steve. Not at
all.
all.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Matt. Hey, tell me, how are rehearsals going?
They're going well. We're covering them. The show will be ready for Saturday night opening. We're all excited and working really hard.
Now, I've got to ask, have you always wanted to play a captain? Because we've got Captain Von Trapp, of course, but this is a different type of captain, isn't it?
I have been practicing my German U-boat captain accent since I was a teenager.
Oh, right.
I finally found the time and the place to do it.
So would it be fair to say this is a role that you've always dreamed of playing?
I didn't realise I dreamed of it until I'm actually doing it.
Were you a fan of Dad's Army growing up?
I used to watch it with my grandfather.
Yep.
Whenever we were at his house, which was often. It brings back a lot of happy memories for me. It's a good British humour. It's British humour.
Yep.
The innuendo is a typical British humour. I get a laugh out of it.
So you've got the captain, the U-boat captain, but I believe you're also playing a second character as well. Who's that?
The vicar.
Right. Now, is the vicar on our side, the Brit side?
He's on the Brit side.
Right.
He's very happy.
Okay.
He's a bit delicate.
Okay. So we've got a happy vicar, and then of course we've got the U-boat captain. Does that mean you've got 2 different accents going on throughout the show?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's a challenge. I'm a fool most of the time. Look, I'm really enjoying it. And my kids love my German accent. They'd rather be in trouble from my German accent than my normal voice.
How hard is it to flip from a German accent to the pompous British accent?
It's all in the costume.
Ah, right, okay. So it sort of brings the character to life does it?
It brings the character to life.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. How are you going with the rehearsal of the lines?
I'm done and dusted, thank you,
right,
Steve.
Thank goodness.
If you've met my wife, you'd know well and truly that I am ready.
I do know your wife very well. She's produced many a shows at Nowra Players. Now, I've also got Stephen Clancy with me this afternoon. And, Stephen, firstly, a wonderful first name, may I say, and
It has its merits.
Is it spelt with a V?
Of course it is.
Right, excellent. Then you are my new best friend, Stephen Clancy. Now, you've got a rather iconic role to play in this production. Who is he?
I'm platoon member number 3 in the... No, sorry, that's wrong. I'm Captain Mainwaring.
Ah, the captain. The one and only.
The one and only. The one and only, hence my moustache, which has been terrifying people for many months. What a role. My gosh, Arthur Lowe, how do you bypass that?
I'm glad you said that because he is probably one of the iconic characters of
Absolutely.
Dad's Army. How do you bring that character to life?
Oh, well... There are 2 parts to it. The uniform certainly helps, but the physicalisation. With Arthur Lowe, he led with his stomach. And I got to admit, in my latter years, I've developed one, which has been great. It's been helpful for the character. That accent, that pompous bank manager.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You know, And one of the things about Mainwaring is his emotional state. Everything is tense for him. So you're sitting high emotionally all the time. You're always on the lookout. You hear Jones talking about, my eyes are hither and thither, but Mainwaring is always on. So it's that holding myself up tense and leading from the gut. Of course, Toby Jones recently portrayed the character as well in the movie, and it was very different Mainwaring. So one of the things that I've also tried to do was get out of that stereotype. I mean, let's be honest, listeners. You're coming to see Arthur Lowe as Captain Mainwaring. That's just part and parcel of what you're coming to expect. But trying to find the uniqueness in what we're doing here. So looking at that physicalisation, the vocalisation, that's been my entry into this horrible character.
Now, why do you say that? I thought he was always sort of a lovable old pumpkin, Mr. Mainwaring, but you're saying he's horrible.
I say that playfully. I really do. He does his best. He's got the heart of gold, trying to save dear old England. But, oh my gosh, he is horrible to everybody. Poor old Godfrey cops it. The U-boat captain and the vicar cop it. Poor old Pikey cops it. Poor old Wilson cops it. Everybody cops it from Captain Mainwaring. And he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's from humble beginnings. He had a father who had a draper shop in a back alley somewhere, and he's risen to some regional bank manager. And he thinks that everybody owes him a living. And so he's always looking for the fault in every single person he finds. So, horrible in a playful kind of a way.
Has that been rather fun to be able to give other cast members, a lashing of the tongue every now and then?
I will say that the director has given me a little bit of permission to call the troops into line, as it were, when they're not listening to directions, and so that's been kind of fun. And I do a fairly stressful day job, so being able to say, my self-care for the afternoon is going to the Players Theatre, and I get to yell at people, so that's fantastic.
Great stress relief by the sounds of it.
Indeed.
Hey, Stephen, have you found that you've gone back to some of the original Dad's Army TV shows to try and get a bit of a sense of what Captain Mainwaring should be like, or have you just sort of looked and go, right, that was him, but this is me in 2019?
Yeah, I think like most of us here grew up with Dad's Army. My grandmother, who is British, who served as an ARP warden during the war. Her father was part of the Home Guards. So there's that tradition there in my family. But yeah, we watched it all the time with them. I've got the entire box set at home, and I watch it regularly. As these guys will attest, every so often I'll come up with random things. Hey, in one episode...
So you know it off by heart by the sounds of it?
Yeah, I know this space pretty well, and I'm loving it.
Now, I was doing a little bit of research, and you should be afraid. And I was very surprised to find out, according to the Radio Times magazine, one of the 25 greatest put-downs comes from Dad's Army itself. Now, I'm presuming it's out of 100, so 25 is pretty darn good. Can you guess, do you think, what put-down that may be?
You stupid boy.
It is! Well, actually, look, I might actually see if this works. Yes, I don't have a prize to give you though. Sorry, but yeah, apparently that is one of the 25 greatest put-downs, and it's come from Dad's Army.
Wow, and considering you've got Blackadder thrown in there, no doubt, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least, I'm going to move on to David Parker. Now, I've left you to last because you've got a couple of interesting stories. Now, I understand that this is your first acting role.
It is. Very first acting role.
Move close to that microphone there for me. Private Godfrey.
Very first one I've ever done. I used to help in theatre in England in 53, but and then I left England in 56, and I worked until I came to Nowra, and I joined the Nowra Players, working in the Tim Tams, helping with building sets and making things, having been engineering all my life. So I joined in. It's the only way to meet yourself and meet other people in the community. Otherwise, you're isolated. And at my age, you've got to do something.
Now, I've got to get into your age very soon, but for those who are listening, they've just heard the Tim Tams, but not speaking of biscuits, Arnott's Biscuits, of course. What are the Tim Tams? What do they do? Who are they?
They make sets, help design and make all the sets. They made all the rifles for the Dad's Army. They made the machine gun and the big machine gun as well, the two of them. And we build furniture and tables and rostrums and a piano that is played electronically, cleverly. And all sorts of structures around the theatre that need doing, we sort of set to and build it. If it's within our capability, and most of it is, we don't overdo it, but, we have plenty of resources. It's a bit hard when you're old and your arms give up lifting, but fortunately we have one or two young people.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, my son is with us, so he's about the youngest one there, I think, and he's in his 60s.
So this is your big debut, by the sounds of it.
Yes, this is my big debut. The whole of my family's coming from Brisbane and everywhere else.
So what made you want to jump ship from the Tim Tams to jump on stage?
A kind lady in the theatre said, "You'll be Godfrey." There's nothing more to say.
You had no choice.
And you do as you're told.
Was it a character that you remember as a kid sort of growing up watching it on the TV?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it on the TV, but I must admit some of the time I didn't see it because I was the sort of work I did used to get in the way. But then my father was in it in England in the 40s, and so was I, helping field Spitfire belts and things like that. So, and we went through the Blitz together and all that sort of nonsense.
Now, tell me, who is Private Godfrey? What's his story?
I don't really know. He's probably
How long have you been rehearsing for?
He's a retired stock exchange man.
Okay, right.
I say, I've done this sort of thing before, really. As I go, I'm sort of, good evening to Captain Mainwaring, who promptly sort of says,
"This is the church social, Godfrey."
So he's very polite, and, I care not to look at ladies' legs, most impolite.
It sounds like you've been having a bit of fun with this character.
Yes, you can have a bit of fun with it, yeah.
Are you a little
bit nerve-wracking, I might add, too.
I was about to ask that. Are you a little bit nervous about going on stage for the first time? Yeah, okay.
I have not. In a previous life, I was at the University of Queensland, and I used to talk to students quite a lot, but a live audience that you have no control over is certainly a different kettle of fish altogether.
Now, unfortunately, we are running out of time, but before I let you go, now, as we know, Dad's Army focuses on the Home Guard in the fictional Walmington-on-Sea, but I understand that your father had a very strong connection. Is that right?
Well, he was an officer in the Home Guard.
Wow.
And, I used to come home from the office and get his uniform on and go out and come back in the middle of the night and have a bit of a sleep and then get on the train and go back to work the next day. Was what happened. Did you had to do.
Did he ever tell you any stories about the work he did?
He worked in he was an accountant in a firm called London Electric Wire Company. They made fine wires for making motors, electric motors and things like that. But, in a previous life, he'd been at sea in the Merchant Navy. He went through the First World War in the Merchant Navy.
Was he like any of the characters that you see in? No, he wasn't. Right.
No.
He was competent.
Well,
you took the word of my mouth.
It's difficult to switch back all those years to sort of say, well, that's how my dad would react in a certain situation, and I'm not sure I'd like to nail him, but we went through it together, and he didn't make it to Australia, unfortunately, but there you are. That's the way life turns out.
He'll be there with you in spirit then. I dare say.
Oh, yes, he's
Probably
there in spirit, all right.
giving you some help along the way. Mm-hmm. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for all joining me this afternoon. Now, normally I'd actually have a couple of tickets to actually give away, but I believe this show is just about sold out, which is wonderful news because there's nothing quite like a BBC sitcom to bring a town together.
They have released 30 more tickets.
Oh, come to the microphone. We got breaking news. Breaking news. I don't have a soundbite, sorry.
They have released 30 more tickets as of today. So go to Shoalhaven Entertainment Centre's
Yes.
website.
Yeah, the booking office site. Absolutely.
And book. Book
And
your
stop
tickets
hitting my
now.
table. Come on.
I was demanding.
Oh, this
people
U-boat captain, I'm not sure. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
pleasure.
And to the three of you
Pleasure,
and the
Steve.
rest of the cast, please break a leg.
Understand?
Not literally. A
Yeah,
fetus
so long
a
as it's
fetus
not
end.
ours.
Yeah,
Triple
quite.
UFM.
Tuesday Drive with Stephen.